Good morning. This is Pastor Thomas William Gardner, and I'm coming to you today, and I just wanted to let you know that I really feel that we should take time to enjoy life. The little short sermon I put together today is called Peter, Do You Love Me? And the reason I did this is because there's some misconceptions about that statement that was made in the Bible, and sometimes people don't get to church or they haven't been to church for a while, and they kind of wonder about certain verses, and this is the purpose of this particular sermon. In the Bible, it mentions that we shall rise up like eagles, and it says, and I also wanted to make note that the eagles in this part of the country are abundant now. They seem to be just about everywhere, and bald eagles have really made a comeback, especially here in Ohio. And on the internet, as I was looking at the eagles and everything, it was pretty interesting. It's beautiful, and I noticed that one of the eagles had something in their claws, and I looked up and took a closer look, and this eagle was carrying a pizza home to the kids. And of course, it was just a slice. And then if you look at other parts there, then you realize that eagles pick up pizzas all the time. They seem to love pizza, and they take it home. And probably the kids are saying, well, we really like Mom. Mom brings home pizza. Dad just brings home possums and raccoons and things, but Mom brings home pizzas. One eagle had an entire box of pizza he was taking home. And I was chuckling about that and looking at that. And then I looked over at the bears, and bears love pizza too. And this one bear has broke into 16 different houses in Colorado, and he stole 14 pizzas. And this one clip that showed this pizza was there at the door, and the man had just left the pizza there at the door, and the guy opened up the door, and there was the bear, and there was the pizza. Well, who do you think got the pizza? And then when we were down in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, they would say, now, in the morning, if you want to see bears, they're going to be back by the dumpsters. They love pizza. And then there's a clip online somewhere where this bear, he thought he liked the dumpster so well that he stood up and he took the dumpster and he marched the dumpster out of town and dumped it into a ravine, and the dumpster was his, and so was the pizzas. And I chuckle about that because of the personality of the animals and everything. We have a cat in our family, and if you're on the remote for too long, she'll go over and she'll take the remote and throw it on the floor. And she wants you to pay attention to her. We have another cat that when he comes down at Christmas time, there's a bell at the bottom of the stairway. And at Christmas time, he likes to stop and ring the bell and then go on with his day. We have another, and that same cat likes to play hockey with ice cubes and knock them down into the basement. And then as they slide under the door, he likes to listen to them. The ice cubes hit each step on the way down. And then he's real happy if it hits a lot of steps. He's done really good. And a couple of the other cats just watch him. It's like he's got an audience. And I get a kick out of that because we should take time to enjoy what's around us, the little things in life. That's what life really is. You can move around in life so fast that you get through the whole thing and you don't even realize that you were in that life. I mean, people will say, we got to go here, got to go there. And you go, and you get in the cars and everything. But we should take time to laugh. We should take time to enjoy. We should take time to enjoy things because God made us a beautiful world. In Genesis 21:6, Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. For everyone who will hear my story will laugh. And laughter is good, isn't it? It's good for our souls. It's healthy for us to laugh. In Ecclesiastes 8:15, it says, so I recommend having fun because there is nothing better in this life than in this world than to eat, to drink, and to enjoy life. Laughter doeth good like a medicine. Proverbs 17:22. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. God has a sense of humor. God has a sense of humor. If you want to have a good laugh, turn on some videos and watch otters in the water. Hilarious. Duck-billed platypus. All these things are around us, and if we don't take time to watch them, understand them, or check their personalities, then we're missing a beautiful part of the world. I remember that during COVID, I was outside preaching, and I'm outside on the step preaching, and pretty soon a bird pulls up, and he starts watching me. And then another bird pulls up, and he's on a branch, and pretty soon I've got a squirrel. He's out there listening, and my wife says, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm saving any souls, but I says, I think I've just saved 3 animals out here." You see, I appreciated their personalities. I think their personalities are very funny. And it's time sometimes to just stop and smell the roses. There's a verse in the Bible that a lot of people don't make it to church and they don't really get it, and they've heard it before, or maybe at Easter time they hear it. And in real short time, I can explain this verse pretty well, I think. And I can explain some things to the verse that maybe you'd never heard before. I don't know. It's in John 21, 15 through 17. And Jesus said, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" Now remember that 3 days before, Simon Peter denied him 3 times. Christ was crucified on the cross, but then he came back to life 3 days later. So this is the fishing scene, and where he yells out to all of them that's out in the boat, and he says, "Boys, have you caught anything?" And they said, "No, haven't caught a thing." He said, "Put the net on the other side." So they do, which would take quite a bit of time. And they catch 153 fish. And Peter comes up to shore, and he's distraught, and he's still upset about everything. And so Jesus makes him breakfast. Although he's supposed to be dead, and he's walking around, and it's noted in the Bible. It's one of the most beautiful parts in the Bible. So he makes him breakfast. And he looks over at Simon Peter, and he says, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" And Simon Peter says, "Of course I love you, Lord. You know I love you. I love you more than anything." He says, "Feed my lambs." And then a little bit of time goes on. He looks over at Simon Peter. Now see, he could have scolded him. He could have put him down or anything. But he uses a small bit of sense of humor to win him, to get his attention, to get Simon Peter back on track. And remember, Simon Peter is the first pope of the Catholic Church. There's a reason, because he's imperfect, but yet he tries so hard and he puts so much of himself into it. And he is one of those guys that, he doesn't give 100%, he gives 120%, it's all of him, And he was just distraught because of everything that came down, but he didn't understand the whole entire plan. And he says, "Simon Peter," Jesus says again, "do you love me?" Simon Peter says, "Oh, you know I love you. You know I love you more than anything." He says, "Feed my sheep." And then he goes on a little bit further, and he says, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" And Simon Peter doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know whether to get upset. He doesn't know what to get angry. He doesn't want to get angry, and he's just, he's just all tied up in knots. And Jesus says to him, he says, "Of course I love you. I love you more than anything." He said, "Feed my sheep." Well, a lot of people, then they leave Easter Sunday, and they've heard the sermon, or they heard the sermon before Easter Sunday, or they've heard the sermon after Easter Sunday, but they don't hear the other part of it. What did Simon Peter do after Jesus told him that? How was he? What was his state of mind? Well, he went on to do a great job for Jesus. That's first of all. And he was the leader of the disciples. That's the second thing. And like I said, he was chosen to be the first pope. But if you turn in your Bible and you turn to 4:18, and you're in Peter the fifth chapter, and Peter the fourth chapter. You're going to read, and you're going to get what Peter was trying to say. He speaks about how he preaches on what he's preaching on. Listen to what he says. And he says that he preaches to the children, he preaches to the flock, and he preaches to the older people. Now, what does he mean by that? Remember, Jesus said to him that, feed my lambs, feed my sheep, feed my sheep. And when you break it down of what he's saying, regardless in whether you read the King James or whether you read the International or whatever version of the Bible that you read, so that you don't get confused, there's been essays written on this and it's on the internet. What he's saying is Simon Peter preaches on the spirit food to the followers. The spirit food to the followers. For the children, the lambs, he preaches on the shepherd. He preaches on the shepherd of the children. Preaches on the shepherd of the children. Who would that be? That'd be Jesus. And then to the older people, he preaches to this. He gives them spiritual food. So what does he do with the rest of the sheep? He preaches and gives spiritual milk. You've heard that before. He gives spiritual milk, and he teaches the word to the world. It's three parts. Just as Jesus was trying to get across to him, do you love me? And he asked him 3 times. What did Simon Peter do after he listened to that? Well, in his ministry, he preached his ministry in 3 different ways. Did you know that? I just thought it was kind of interesting. And yet, the way he said it, instead of scolding him, he used a bit of a sense of humor. Simon Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Well, that's just some of my thoughts for the day. I hope in some way that it helped you. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Keep your sense of humor.